So in this session, we are going to learn and explore about the neural networks and its applications. I don't think there is even a single person who have not heard about this artificial intelligence or neural networks or deep learning or machine learning. So these are the terms which are all related to each other, right? So is there any person who have not used the virtual assistant in your phone? Or is there a person who has not used the smart home applications, okay, in your by using your phone? So there are so many things which people use in our daily day-to-day life, and we use Google and Alexa, Siri. There are so many things which are already available and which we have been so accustomed to, and which we cannot think of a world without them, right? So, artificial intelligence has become an indispensable part of your life without you knowing it. Okay. So, what is objectives for our session? So, objectives for our session mainly focuses on two different points. One is a clear understanding about what is neural networks. Okay. And the second one is what are the different applications or the real-time applications of neural networks. And the third one, are you capable of building a neural network application? Okay, so you are students of the data mining class. Okay, will you be able to develop a neural network application? Is that possible? Okay, so we are going to brainstorm these three topics. So before moving over to what is neural networks, so the common term which we hear in our day-to-day life is artificial intelligence, as I already told you, right? So artificial intelligence, are you able to identify this particular person which is there in the PPT? Yeah, she is basically Sophia. So Sophia is the first artificial intelligent robot developed, and she has even got a citizenship by Saudi Arabia. Okay, so she is the first robot who have got even the citizenship. She is I don't know, she behaves and she responds to your answers and everything as if you're talking to a human being. So how does that possible? How is that possible? Who is actually inducing all this intelligence to her? So understand artificial intelligence by its name. It says that it is an intelligence which is induced over to a machine artificially. That's all. So she is not a normal human being. She looks like a human being, but she is a machine. So we are inducing an intelligence over to a machine, and we are trying to induce intelligence as close as the human intelligence over to a machine. So that makes it more and more artificially intelligent. There are different types of, so as a human being, she can learn new things, she can self-adapt and self-correct herself, and she can reason things, she can justify why she does that, why she does not agree with a particular topic. So everything could be done as if, as a normal human being, right? So there are different types of AIs, basically weak AI and strong AI. So what is this weak AI? Say if we are developing a particular machine which is artificially intelligent for a specific task, that means that machine works only for a specific task, then we could say that it is a weak artificial intelligence. Say if we could generate or if we could build a particular artificial intelligence system which could be worked upon multiple situations or multiple scenarios or multiple applications, then we could say that it is a strong artificial intelligence system. Okay, so hope you understood what is artificial intelligence. Now, there are so many areas and so many applications which are related to the artificial intelligence. One of the major application and area which is developed is the machine learning. So machine learning basically helps you to understand, okay, how can you make your machines learn, okay, by itself. So by artificial intelligence, you just told that you are inducing some intelligence over to a machine, right? Now, how can you do that? Okay, you can basically do that with the help of machine learning algorithms. There are learning algorithms which helps the machine to learn by themselves. So who have created this algorithms? Yes, we humans. So this machine learning algorithms, when we try to optimize them, It will help to minimize the errors and maximize the probabilities of the predictions that could be done with that particular machine. Okay, and in machine learning, the feature extraction is basically done manually. What do you mean by feature extraction? Okay, say I'll tell you a simple example. When you take a computer, you could say that there are so many features. So what are the major features which you see in a machine, in a computer system? Yes, you could see a keyboard, you could see a lot of keys, and you could see a screen which is a monitor, right? And you could see a lot of buttons, so many things. And you could, when you enter into that, you can even close it, you can open it. So there are so many features for a computer system, and there is a processor inside. When you move inside to a motherboard, you could see a processor inside, and it could be different types, and you could see a lot of capacitors, transistors, resistors, so many things inside your system. So all those could be, each and everything is a feature which helps this computer system to operate accordingly, what you say. Okay, so in machine learning, you have to extract the features manually. What do you mean by that? Yeah, it's a separate set of algorithms which will help you to extract the features. Okay, if computer is a machine, okay, it will have a keyboard, it will have a monitor. So that information is fed separately so that the machine learning algorithms can process. Okay, so that is nothing but, so anyway, what is machine learning? So machine learning just helps you to understand or help the machine to learn new things, which is done with the help of few algorithms which is developed by the humans. Okay, and there are n different type of algorithms available. Now, so as I told you, there are so many limitations for ML. So one of the major limitations which we always see in ML is that when you go deeper, you will understand that the manual extraction. So see, as far as say, if I consider the performance of a class, okay, so performance of a class, say we are a team of 11 students. Okay, say if we are considering that particular scenario, then what all things has to be considered if I am going to analyze your class? The number of the students, okay, what is the CGP of the students, how many tests were conducted, and in each test, what are the average of the marks which they have actually gathered. So all this information has to be extracted separately, and that has to be fed into the machine learning algorithms for processing it. Okay, so that is nothing but a manual extraction. Say if you are building a machine learning algorithm which helps you to identify by, say if you are giving an input of an apple, input image of an apple, and you want to get an output that it is an apple or not. Okay, so that is your objective. So you are giving some particular image, and if there is an apple in the image, that machine learning algorithm has to correctly tell you that it is an apple, right? But here in the case of the machine learning, what you have to tell is, okay, it is a red in color, there is a leaf, okay, and there are different shades, and it is round in shape. So all these features has to be provided separately over to the machine learning algorithm to identify this particular apple. So this algorithm is kind of independent, and the features are basically independent, right? So this is nothing but, so when you provide, say if you are simply giving it as round in shape to the machine learning algorithm, it may say that it is orange, or it may even say that it is a ball. Okay, but if you are giving both the combinations of, okay, it is red and it is round in shape, and it is there is a small a leaf there which is shown, which is normally seen in all the apple pictures. If you see everything clearly, it may say it is an apple correctly. Okay, so according to the number of the features which you give, right? So your machine learning algorithms train and give you the correct output, optimized output. Otherwise, if your features are lesser, what happens? The output which you get will also become less, or less accurate. Hope you're able to follow me, right? So why NN? So why do we have to go for a neural network or DL? The beautiful part of it is that you have to simply give this picture. So no job, your job is lesser, right? So you can simply give this apple image, and everything will be taken care of by this deep learning algorithm. Okay, so everything will be taken care by this deep learning algorithm. So it's like automatic feature extraction, and it takes up all the features and it does all the different neural network algorithms comes to play here, and it just gives you that it is Apple. So you don't even have to, you see, you're trying to automate, or you're trying to induce intelligence of your system, okay, in such a way that it can even extract the features from the image or from the data which you have actually given. So this is not mandatory that it has to be an image. It could be a data, it could be a document, it could be some sensor values, it could be anything. It could be some data, some random data according to your application, right? So whatever be the data that you are actually giving, its features are extracted, and the algorithm is applied over with the features, and you are getting the output. Okay. Now, by saying these two, can you just come to a common conclusion that how a normal computer system works? Can you say that? So there is an input, there is some processing which happens in between, and there is an output. So anywhere, whether it is ML or whether it is DL or neural networks or anything, you could see this common pattern in computer science anywhere. Say even for you, if you are writing a computer program, you are giving an input, your program is your processing which happens through the algorithm, and you are getting an output. That's all. Anything which you take in this world, it's all input, process, and output structure. Now, why is this name neural networks, okay, in deep learning? So basically, I don't know whether you would have already learned all this in your 8th standard or 7th standard, 8th grade or 7th grade, okay, a biological neuron. Have you seen this particular structure? Don't worry about this. Now I'm not going to teach you biology, okay? So this is a normal structure of a of a of a neuron, which you could see in our brain. This is one single neuron, okay? So in your neuron, if you say, okay, this is the processing center, so you are getting lot of inputs through this dendrites, okay, you are getting lot of inputs through this dendrites, and this is your processing structure, and this is the communication channel. Axon is a communication channel, and there is a terminal which is actually connected to the next neuron, okay, and this is the output. So basically it's like input, process, and you have got an output, right? So even our biological neuron, or the neuron which is there in our brain, follow the same structure, okay? So this kind, because you know why we map this to a biological neuron, it is because of this, okay? Because in neural networks, we are trying to make ourselves learn a lot of things by ourselves. Can you just imagine, okay, you were born very young, okay, you were very small, then you know got into a toddler state, then you became a kid, then you became a teenager, then now you are in a kind of an adult state, right? A youth, young kids, right? So there is a lot of transitions which you have happened from when you take your evolution from the day of your birth till date, right? So how you have actually evolved, okay? When you are so small, when you touch a hot pot, okay, say just consider that you have seen a hot pot, you know, you're so young, you will not even imagine that it is hot, you will just bang on it and you will just touch it, and you will get hurt, right? Sometimes you would have cried, and sometimes you would have repeated it so many times, okay? You would have repeatedly touched it, you would have cried, and your mama would have scolded you, okay? So many things would have happened. But when you came to a stage of a kid, next time when you see this, because you have already got this experience that when you touch a hot pot, okay, you will get hurt, and some burns will happen, your mama will scold you, so many things is there in this experiential learning is there in your mind. Now what happens when you are a kid, when you see the hot pot, if you have a brother or sister, you will say, hey, don't touch it. Why? Because you have already experienced it. So there is a learning which has happened in your mind, right? In your brain. So that is already recorded somewhere. So, or you will be very careful whether it is hot or not. You will touch it with one finger and see whether it is hot or not, and you will be very careful. Okay? And later on, when you become very big, what happens? You will make sure that you're not even going near it. Right? So that happens. So it is nothing but the collective intelligence which you gather all through your life, from the young age to the date till now. Right? So that is how the things work. So that is the beauty of this neural networks. It self adapts, and self learning happens all by itself. Now let me map that biological neuron to a neural network. Okay, so when I show you this particular picture, this also happens in the same way, like you have got some inputs and you have got some processing which happens in between, and you have got an output layer, right? So understand, in neural network you can have an input or multiple inputs. Say even if we take the case of touching a hot pot, it would be red in color, or there would have been some indication, right? And it would have been, some water would have been boiling, some steam would have been coming out. So a lot of factors could be there to be actually inputted to the system as the features, right? So what happens is that, so these are all the inputs, and you are basically doing a processing, and here in the neural network it is called as the hidden layers, because see, you are not worried about how the system actually captures the features. You are actually not worried about how the system captures the features, and still it is a greater area of research, because there are so many neural network algorithms already available, but each and everything basically works. It's kind of a black box. So you have seen this black box for the aeroplanes, right? So if some crash happens, the scientists will try and look for the black box, because black box records things. So otherwise, when you normally see a black box, it is just a black box. That's all. You don't know how it records, how it works, but it has everything in it. So this is the major part which extract the features and apply the algorithms, and everything will happen here in this particular section, and whatever be the desired output, that will be given to you, right? So say I will take you through an example. Okay, I'm walking through a garden. Okay, I'm walking through a wonderful garden. I could see a lot of green, blue flowers. I could see a lot of yellow flowers. I could see a lot of, you know, what is that? Red flowers. So many things are there. Okay, so smell could be one of my input. Okay, and then the eyes, whatever I see, the visual impact which I see could be the other thing, and there could be some breeze, or which makes, something which falls, which comes as a touch. So these all could be the different inputs for me, and I will process. Oh, this is all together. It's a wonderful view. Okay, I can smell nice, I can see nice, and there is a wonderful breeze. All together, I processed, and I say, hey, this is a garden. This is a beautiful garden. See, in the same way, I'm just walking through the same garden, but I'm so allergic to the pollens of the flowers there. Say, I could see red flowers, blue flowers, everything, and I could smell it. When I'm smelling it, I'm even more bothered about the pollens, and it goes, and my allergic reaction. So I have different factors which comes in here, which says me that, oh my God, I need to cross this garden fast, because otherwise I would be in trouble. So this is a different output. So what I'm intending to tell you is that according to the inputs you give, according to the features you extract, what happens, its corresponding output also changes. So it is exactly like how we see a particular thing. One of the person might see a garden in his perspective, a beautiful perspective. The other person who have already experienced a terrible experience would see that particular same garden in a different perspective. So it's all the same. So according to your inputs, according to the features extracted by the machine, what happens, its corresponding output also changes. Now we will just see a mathematical perspective. So when we come to the mathematical perspective, it is very important to understand that you have inputs, you have an output, that's all. But see here, there is a weightages applied to this particular, each input. What is that? Say if I'm interested in the blue flowers, my weightages will be more to that blue flower. I don't like red flower at all. Yes, my weightage will be less. I saw a particular flower with the pollens which I'm not okay with, then its weightage will be really low. So each and every input which you gather will have a kind of weightages associated with it. And bias is something which you like it, then your bias will be, more towards, falling a positive. When you're not at all okay with it, then its bias will be, so it's all like your serious biases, what you basically see in your life, right? And this weightages depends and changes according to, you can change the weightages sometimes, later on you started liking a particular, but this weightages can change. So all this are, changes according from persons to person, from time to time. So according to your application, you will be, putting this weightages. Now, what is this? This is the process. The process is nothing but you are getting a lot of inputs. It is a blue flower, it is a beautiful flower, okay, it's a garden. So many things processing in your head, and finally you are telling like, yeah. So there is something which activates you with the help of this inputs. It's exactly like your f of x is equal to y. So according to the function you apply, so if you're crossing through a garbage, you will say that, yay, it's not yuck, it's not fine. Okay, say if you're passing through a wonderful garden, you could have an output like a positive output, but according to this inputs and its weights, this percentage of the output can vary. So this is exactly neural network representation. You have got inputs, and this is your hidden layers which comes in sum and the activation. So these are some functions which helps you to understand that. So the algorithms, everything which will work in between, and this is your output. So everything when you see, even in neural networks, even in your life, it's all about input. You have some process and you have some output. So here also you have got inputs and you have got processing, and you have got some output. But in the case of the neural network, we will call it as hidden layers. Okay. Now, so to just relate to what all things we have learned, so artificial intelligence, just the technique which will help the machines to mimic exact the human behavior, right? And these are the machine learning are the set of the AI technique which helps the machine to learn and experience itself. And what is deep learning? Deep learning is exactly like, you have multiple layers of processing. You're making it more complex. So it's exactly, you're making your machine think exactly like a human being by inducing exactly like what is there in our human brain. So that comes in your deep learning or neural network. So this is all your, how it is related basically. Now, what are the various neural network? We will see some neural network applications. So one of the major neural network application which you would have seen is nothing but the AI powered cars. Okay, so in AI powered cars, basically you could see the self-driving cars. Okay, the self-driving cars where it has cameras at the front, it has cameras at the side, and it has got geo mapping in between, okay, which will help you to track the road, whether there is a pedestrian crossing, what is the signals which comes in, what is the traffic volume, is there a block in this particular path, can I take a other path, this path. So all those things are basically done by AI powered cars. Okay, I will drop you a link which will help you to after the class, so that you could just see a small video on how the AI powered cars work. Because when you are making a particular car, so car is your machine, you are inducing intelligence over to the car to make it move smooth in a highly trafficked road, right? So that is a beautiful example for AI powered cars, which is completely run by neural networks. The other one is emotion detection. So it's like, whether you're happy or whether you're sad or whether you're surprised, right? So there are so many neural network algorithms and applications available out there to help you. Even say I'm taking the class and I'm seeing all your faces. I can just capture your face and your emotions, your mannerisms inside the class to understand whether you're really passionate about the class, or you're really bored in the class, or how it goes. So that's wonderful, right? So there are so many techniques which are available and which uses the neural networks for emotion detection. And the other one is nothing but the natural language processing, which is actually an important application, and it is actually a different area of research. It's a complete area of research if you say. Okay, say this is your Cortana. So you could see this. You would have already seen this in your system, in your laptops, right? This is nothing but Cortana helping me to find out, how can I convert 172 inches to centimeters. So this is nothing but an application. So I'm speaking here. That speech is basically converted into a text, and it is actually it may be searching in the internet or somewhere, and it is trying to get the answers. So this Cortana is basically a natural language processing system which you could see. And the other one which you would have been normally using is the Google Assist, which is there in your phones, right? So if you simply ask the Google Assist, okay, what is the temperature today? It just gives you the temperature. Okay, what is the temperature? What might be the temperature maybe two days later? So it could just predict the temperature. So that is possible with the help of assistance. So all these things are basically applications of neural networks which we use in our day-to-day life. And this is actually a chat which I had with the Google Assist. So do you know my name? So it was replying me as funnily and as like a human being is responding. So funnily enough, Rihanna asked a similar question a few years ago. So it's like, as if you're talking to a human being, and then tell me my name. So it is correctly telling my Google name, right? But I'm asking it like, can you call me Sini? Yeah, it's possible. So all these things. So it's kind of a happy, chat, a chat with a normal human being. And you would have already experienced a lot of chat boards when you open different websites in your area, right? So when you open the websites, you could see different kind of different kind of chatbots coming up. How can I help you, right? So you would have already seen that and experienced. And this is another thing which happened in India, right? This is nothing but a digital avatar. See, nowadays it's all about online classes. So people miss the convocation ceremony, which happens, which is actually people look up to, right? So even in Bahrain Polytechnic, they could have this, right? So what they did is that they have created the digital avatars of all the students and the professors, and they made a complete animation, not animation, like it's like the student, the exact student and the professor will be given the convocation and the certificates. So this basically happened in IIT, one of the Indian Institute of Technology in India, right? And so this is a complete AI application, right? And the next one is visual recognition. So visual recognition is like, say, if I want to understand the kind of the traffic that will flow through a particular road, okay, in Bahrain, so I could just do this. I could fix a particular camera in a particular traffic area, traffic signal, and I could understand I can identify the cars and the truck and the bicycle, which everything which crosses through the road. And I could also identify, I could get all the data, I could analyze the data and understand that what is the most peak traffic time, okay, which is the time where the traffic is really less, how many vehicles has crossed that particular road. So I could have a complete analysis about what is happening. Then the face detection, right? Normally when you take a photo nowadays, you used to see about this face detection, right? So that is part of the visual recognition, which helps you do through the AI. And the other one is, this is a wonderful thing. I think you'll be really interested too. It's like, you are writing, you are actually giving a text, and it gives you an output in the form that, you have actually written using your hand. So it's a wonderful application. So if you're really interested, you could just go through this particular site and see about it and read more about it. So it is, I'm giving a text. So generally, people use this for assignments. Sorry to say this in the class, but this is a wonderful AI application which is there. So neural network application, which uses the automatic handwriting generation. So it is not easy, right? So you have to train your system in such a way that you can make your system train in such a way that any text which is given, you need to say, if I am asking the system every time, it should be the same handwriting which is generated. Say if the person B is asking, it should be the same handwriting generated. So there are a lot of challenges in it. So how can you train your system and make your system adaptable to that? Then this is another application, which is your Google Translate, which you would have already used in your systems. Like, so when I initially came here in November, I attended one of the major conferences, and one of the text, suddenly maybe a glitch, they have actually forgotten to change it as, they were giving us a feedback form. But in that, it was all written in Arabic. I was unable to read that initially. So I just took a photo and just used the Google Translate, and I got to know that it is email, name, and the college where you are. So it is all easy for us nowadays. So normally if you have a text, you just extract the text, you will just convert that into the specific language that you want, and so it is as simple as that. It's so easy. That is nothing but a neural network application which you use, or an artificial intelligence applications you will use. And deep dreaming, so many people would have already played this game in your mobile, right? So it's like, it's kind of a hallucinated effect which brings forward the pictures which you feed your system, right? So these are all are higher end algorithms called generative adversarial networks, which is their part of the neural networks, which is used in order to generate all this. I have code and everything for all these algorithms. If you're really interested, if you start learning neural networks in depth, you'll be able to, I can share that. And there are so many. So these are all the applications which you could see generally, and these are the applications which you use without even knowing that we are using AI in our daily life, or neural networks in our daily life. And there are certain applications where we could find out and we could come out with. Such an application is a cancer skincare detection system, which is basically done by taking a lot of images of cancer images, and then making them into, so we have already learned the concept of classification. So in decision trees, we have already seen that we need a training, we need a testing set, right? And then how to apply that, we have already seen that. So in neural networks also, basically this neural networks also actually can be used as a prediction system or a classification system. So when it is a prediction system, you could very well use this as system where you use for whether to categorize it as a cancerous skin or a non-cancerous skin. So it is basically a classification. It drills down to a classification problem. Okay, so all these things are possible. So there are so many applications which are possible by using neural networks. And in the next class, what I will do is I will also show you certain demos which is done by my students earlier, and you could just have a look about that. Okay, so your job for the next class is that, okay, please go through this odd video which I have recorded now, and just have a basic understanding about why we learn neural networks, or what are the various applications that we basically use in our day-to-day life without even knowing that they are neural networks. So please go through this and just come to the class so that we can have a detailed discussions about this. So that is what the task which is assigned to you for the class. So just go through this video and come back to the class after going through this video. So the basic understanding for this, or the objectives that we have met through this particular class, is nothing but you should have an understanding about what is neural networks, what are the various applications that we use in our day-to-day life, okay, and which all applications basically. So according to the applications which you could see, it is very clear that we can either use it for a classification purpose, we can either use it for a prediction purpose. So these are the two different applications where we basically use the neural networks for, right? So please go through this video and get back to the class for the next class. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks a lot.